Hello guys, and welcome to another video. This one I'm going to show you my perspective from the first race we had, the first round we had of this Manufacturers Exhibition season, which was this Spa Group 3 at Spa Group 3. But anyway, as you can see now, I'm on my outlap in qualifying. So the qualifying session was obviously medium tyres, time to retire there, and it was a 5-minute session. As you can see on the map, everyone is well ahead of me, looking like they are all doing 2 laps. However, this was the first and last start, and this was the first time I was in top split. The other 2 starts I was in the second split, but this time I'm in top split, and I decided to just do the 1 lap and have the clear air. So just so that I wouldn't have any distractions, and I could just focus on my drive. Now that was very risky, but I was prepared to take the risk because the last thing I would have wanted was to be put off by people if I was on a really good lap, because that would really annoy me. So start lap, a bit of a mid exit, not a great exit, I had a bit of wheel spin, but down to turn 1, broke out a usual marker, touch deep, just missed the apex, but at least we carried a bit of speed, so it could have been a lot worse. Probably lost a good half a second there at least, unfortunately, which is quite a big deal on top split. That could be the difference between 2-3 places easy. But going fairly Rouge, easy flat for every car I believe, especially with this wind. And the first sector I believe you'll see is a 39.7 from memory. Yeah, 7.48. It's just decent. I've had a bit better. But I'm going to talk about the first 2 stops quickly while you see this cleared up. So the first lap, second split, I had I think it was a, I'm trying to remember the lap times, I think it was a 17.7 or 17.8. Not a good lap, I was P like 12 I think. I think it was P11 actually. As I missed that corner, I lost a bunch of time there. But anyway, first start I did 0.7.8 that area, and that put me about P11. And it started me in the middle of a chicane, and Consul was ahead of me, who's also a very good rider, and he's my good saving straight through the speed, especially top end, so I just couldn't keep up with it. So I lost a big slip train. However, there's 2-3 cars back with me, so I feel safe behind them, so I didn't have to refuel, and I caught up to the leading pack by the end. Well, mid-pack I should say. I think it was for like battle for like 5th something, but I just couldn't capitalise. Didn't have enough time to get the moves on that. So yeah, I finished about 9th or 8th I believe it was. So I went again. Second start I had one of my best ever laps with a 0.4. It was a very good 0.4. I was 3rd for split 2, stop 2. Unfortunately there was an incident or 2 where I couldn't capitalise on something. I believe I finished P6. Still not bad for Porsche, but I knew I could have done better, and since I've had no one there, it was a no-brainer, I was going to go again. So here we go, end of the lap. Fortunately, it's a 17.9, terrible lap, but I'll see you in the actual race, so stay tuned. Right guys, so with that quali session, 17.9. Unfortunately, you won't even see my car on this screen here because I am that far back, but that's a very good pole position lap from there. 17.2, that's a fantastic lap from there. Decent from Juju as well, but I believe I start this race, I think it was around P13 from memory. You'll see in a second there, that's I am not a good lap. A lot of mistakes in there. I think I only did 1 or 2 good corners. Every other corner there was at least a small mistake in there, if not a big mistake. So like end of S2, start of S3, I touched the Astro, which meant I had dirty time to the first corner of S3, and I just understeered, and I lost 10%, probably a good 2 tenths there. There you go, P11, over 6 tenths off. Not good enough to be honest. I know Porsche's not the best car on this track, but it's not 6 tenths off pole. Especially since I did a 0.4 in stop 2. I know I was capable of being around top 5 in this lobby at least. But hey ho, that's qualifying. It's 20 laps, there's a long way to go, and you've not seen the weather radar yet, so you'll see that in a second. There you go. Bit of rain coming. Whether it hits the light blue bit, or for Class 1 or the Class 2 race, wait and see. But start the race, while the rolling starts going, put in fuel map 6 just to save that extra tiny bit of fuel. That could make the difference at the end of the race, you never know. And yeah, unfortunately, like slot 1, I start 11th, so I already know what's to come, so I'm in the middle of the corner. Luckily for Porsche though, it's very stable, so I can basically spam the throttle and get away with it. Unfortunately, since I'm starting P11, I'm going to have to push like crazy to get to this slipstream train. The reason I am going to be pushing and burning my fuel is because slipstream gains you probably a good second a lap here, and if you're not in slipstream, especially in a car that doesn't save fuel very well, and it's not particularly fantastic on tyres either, it's going to be a long day for you. So that is why I'm pushing. In case you didn't know, this race is 20 laps as far, like I said in the intro, and it's times 2 fuel, times 3 tyre there. Now times 2 fuel does not sound like much, but when you got to consider that 1, the Porsche is not good on fuel, 2, Spa has a lot of straights, and you are staying in my car at least, you're basically not using stick gear at all, at least in qualifying, especially if it's wind as well, not ideal for saving fuel in my opinion, but anyway, and 3, what was this? Well, those are the main 2 points. 1, Porsche is not good on fuel. 2, Spa is very fast track, and you're using, in my car at least, 5th gear a lot, but you're barely using 6. But right now, as you can see, I've already used 4% of fuel this lap. That's just me pushing. You want to be using 5% of fuel a lap, just so you don't have to refuel. The reason you don't want to refuel in this race is because, well, there's 2 major reasons for this. 1 reason, well, 3 major reasons actually. Well, two reasons I will state anyway. So, in case you didn't know, the refuel rate for this round, and I believe this season genuinely, is 3 litres a second, which is not much. So basically, every time you go into the pits, every time you put 3% of fuel in, that would cost you 1 second. So that's 1 thing. So for example, if you had to put in like 10% of fuel, you'd have to put like over 3 seconds of fuel. You have to wait in pits for 3 seconds to put that much fuel in the car. So that's 1 reason. Another reason you don't want to refuel at all is because, in case you didn't know, there's a different animation between you not putting fuel in and you putting fuel in. And the animation just to put even like 0.5% of fuel in takes 2 seconds. So if you did the animation, even if you mistakenly put fuel in, that's 2 seconds of your time gone, and that is a big deal in top split, especially because that could be between P1 and P10. You could be at the back of the slip train. As you can see right now, 1.3 I barely got slip train, and I am pushing. I'm not even using 6th gear at this point until right at the end of the straight, just to try and catch up to them. I am driving flat out on this point, just trying to get back to the other fellow Porsche driver, which is new one, who is black apparently. Very underrated driver. But yeah, since he's 10th, you know Porsche's not great yet, basically. Just, he's a fast driver, he's a very fast driver. But anyway, bit of lot too. We're starting to catch up to the slip train. I think it helps that Nono's leading, because that he's in a Mercedes, and that car is also really bad on fuel. So he's already going to be short shifting at the front of the train. He's holding people back. Since he's holding people back, they're going to have to make an area, and they're not going to be aggressive into the other side. Which is why you'll see me gain a bunch of time, especially in the braking spots, because I'm not bunched up. I can use my normal braking references and try and catch up. Whereas Newell in that corner he could, because he has a bit of a gap between him, probably because he's fuel saving as well. And since it's a Lambo, the Lambo is not amazing on fuel either, but it's a lot better than the Porsche. I'm going to try to commentate the whole race if possible. But yeah, also in case you didn't know, with the weather, I made a guide on this race. Unfortunately I messed up the release of the race. As you can see, bunches of crazy, a lot of people were trying to go for moves. Unfortunately for the Spanish driver, he just got pushed onto the Astro, which forced his car to spin. Very unfortunate, but honestly, his race is not over yet. Yes, it's not looking good, but with weather, anything can happen. So we gained a place or two from that, thankfully. We gained 2 places actually. One from you one, who was caught in the incident, unfortunately, and obviously from the Spanish dots. I'll try to but now I'm in Centurion. You'll see how early I'm shifting just to try and make it through. I've already used 14% of fuel and we've only done 2.25 laps. At this point I would have needed 89ish percent fuel and I've 56. So I need to not only save 3% more fuel, but I want to save as much fuel as possible so I can attack at the end of the race. I can attack at the end of the race and try to gain position. So, not a great start, but that is thanks to my poor qualifying, and it's only my fault that I put myself in that position. I cannot blame it on anyone else. But that is the risk of only doing 1 lap in qualifying. It worked out for me top 2, it did not work out for me. And that's just how it's sometimes getting this week. It's a good experience, it's good to learn from, and if anything, it puts a bit more pressure on you, but I don't really feel pressure. It's just messed up. Simple as that. But yeah, that's right. Started to tie save, started to short shift a lot because I also want to try have tyres readjusted in case I want to go for moves, in case people are starting to lose so strong for cars and but like you see in the thumbnail, potentially, and with the titles and that, there is weather, so anything can happen. Just my aim here was just to stay right behind J Marty. Or JM Marty, he used to be called JM Marty, I believe. He's a very good driver. Number's not the best car, but as you can see, 9 tenths in the top 9, it's going to bunch up. And yeah, when it's 9 tenths to the top 9, something's always going to happen. 3 wide, yeah, that was never going to work. Unfortunately, honestly, that was just a racing incident. I mean, JM Marty was on the left, got tapped into the grass, the red goes into the hand. That's just going to happen sometimes. But that look how slow we're going. We're doing 221s. Like, it's costing us so much time. And if you, as you can see on screen, Medi is starting to pull away. In fact, he has pulled away from the gap behind because he could take his normal racing line while everyone else was trying to fight for their position. But we did gain a few places from that. But we are also going to have to push now because there's a McLaren behind us, and if we know anything about the car, that car has probably the best 5th gear all of Grid 3. But thankfully I heard him short shift to 6, so I knew I could use. Since I see that bunching up ahead, I fuel saved it. Just to make the most of my fuel saving, well, I know I can catch up. Because the Porsche is quite decent. Yes, it's not as good as the M6, but probably not quite as good as the probably similar level to the Lambo. However, I knew if I had to, if they were starting to get ahead of me in the corners, I'll just push. So it's not a big deal, to be honest. But I'd say closer on you because they were battling for their position, of course, which is fair enough. I mean, people are going to fight. People have their own philosophies on how to race in top split. So as you can see now, I'm in 7th. I've gained 4 places already in only 3.5 laps. I am a bit down on fuel still, unfortunately, but got a long way to get that fuel back. But yeah, a decent start considering when I started. Had to push against the train in the first place, which definitely helped, but it did cost us fuel to do that, unfortunately. But yeah, my aim here at the moment was just to stay in sit train. Try to stay as close as possible to the cars ahead. And before each heavy braking zone, I'll just fuel safe at least, so I'll have enough of the gap to do my own braking, or brake a bit later than the opponent's ahead of me. So that's, you know, going through lap 6. Got about a 4-10 gap ahead of me, so I can brake reasonably low compared to them and not hit anyone. And just save as much fuel as possible. But as you can see right now, end of lap 4, I've got about 39% of fuel. And as you can see, the 10-minute marker is about to come, which means the weather is about to come. Fortunately, it is a class 1 rain, which most of the time means the rain won't be heavy enough to, drastically change the track. So like sometimes the class 1 rain will only get like 5-10% there. Sometimes it doesn't even do anything unless it builds for a while. But as you saw on the radar, the rain was going to be there basically the whole race, because the whole of my radar after the initial rain hits was fully covered in the weather radar. So it looks like the class 1 rain was going to hit the whole time. It could maybe hit class 2 rain, the lighter blue part, or the darker blue compared to the light blue I should say. So had to keep an eye out for what the weather was doing. But we're about halfway through lap 5 now, sticking close to 4 cars ahead of me. Nono's trying to catch Mehdi, it looks like at the moment. Medi's still got a bit of a gap, so fair play to those two. Rapid. Got a bit fortunate with what happened on that end of lap 3, but you know, you got to be in the places to take advantage in the first place, and that's an advantage of qualifying towards the front. I could have been in that position if I qualified at the front, but I wasn't, because I didn't do a good enough job. That's just how it goes. Well, you know, we've gained 4 places from the start, that's sticking with people ahead. As you can see on the track, there's tiny rain droplets, and the rain's already raising up, which caused suspicion, because the rain was rapidly increasing. I was at this point thinking, should I do a huge balls move and just pick this up and see what happens? Because my car is not the best race car, but I would have needed to take some risks if I wanted really good results. But you'll see at the end of this up, I did not pit. The reason I did not pit is because at this point I saw the moisture bar thing didn't move up, but that could just potentially be because the rain hit this car the track later compared to where I was half a minute ago. But another reason I stayed out was because even if it did start to get a bit wet, I didn't want to overheat my inter tyres and kill them on the out lap of the stint. So even if it gets a bit wet at the end of this lap, I'd rather suffer with that than potentially have 20% tyre wear, might interfere out the entire stint to go as well, and be a sitting duck if the cars behind were to catch me, for example. But no one pitted, which I'm quite surprised to be honest. I thought at least 1 or 2 would risk pitting here, watching what the moisture bar was doing, but it's what it is. So rain's starting to creep up a bit, so I thought I'll just carry the fuel saving, I'll fly behind, and plus there's a bit of a gap behind me. I didn't want to stop fighting and then fight them to stay close to me, and just I didn't want to waste time, you know, one trying to catch the leaders and 2 let the people behind me get in strong slip, and then I would have to battle with them eventually. So I want to make it as little of a fight as possible, so my worst outcome would still be a half decent position for myself, especially in the standard of lobby I'm in and for cars. As you can see on the watch bar, it's already past the first bar, so it's already quite sketchy, and we've still got half a lap to go. So I knew I'd have to be careful here, so I decided I was going to risk it a bit with my driving, because I back myself in these sort of conditions. I think the controller definitely does help, but I'm just able to adapt to conditions quickly in general, so I'm already not using the racing line here, just trying to see if there's more grip, which I think there is slightly. As you see, 2 spins very easily done, especially in the car with this level line. No goes up, your stars wide, I'm the touch right, you're on top behind me, it's all kicking off. And yeah, I'm just trying to keep on track at this point. Nono's got dirty tyres, so he's inside, he just doesn't have the traction because of dirty tyres. But yeah, it's 50% wet, we are all on racing tyres. I decided I'm not going to go flat out here and risk understeering off. I'm just a little bit because I'm not going to ruin my whole race trying to gain half a second. It's just not worth the risk. I got a bit of a tap on the motor, but honestly, it's not his fault. It's just, I didn't want to take any risks. Yassar gets tapped and spun around, unfortunately. I'm getting tapped into a pit entry, and then I'm hitting the car ahead of me as well. I was thinking of using wet tyres here, potentially, but with the light blue rain, you just can't risk it, in my opinion, because, yes, it's class 1 rain, but it's got variants. So, like, sometimes the class 1 rain does nothing, it doesn't rain at all. Well, it does rain, but like, it doesn't make any impact on traffic. It'll stay like 0% moisture just because it's not you know, hitting hard enough to cause any difference to the track surface. But sometimes it could just be rain, like you see now, and just be like this the whole time. But I don't want to risk wet tyres. Diego Rojas risks wet, which is a very brave choice, and I believe he's in the Audi R8, and fair enough, he went wet. It was probably worth the risk in his position, because Audi again is not wet. It's okay on this track, but the car's not good on fuel, and it's not good on tyres, especially the rears. And it's a very good rain car, so it is worth the risk for potentially going on the wet. I'm hoping it's to stay sweat the whole time. But as you see, everyone's top 8, we're all on inches. So my main aim here was to just at least keep up with the people ahead, and if an opportunity comes, I'll go for the move. But I do have Nono, and P6 is Antonio, in case you don't know. He's probably, in my opinion, the best driver in this hobby, in my personal opinion. He's rapid. He doesn't need much practice to get up to speed either, and he's a very good range driver. He is definitely up there in terms of range driving. So you'll definitely see him later on. But as you can see on the track map and the cars behind, we've got a bit of a gap to P7. None of us refueled, by the way, especially me. I would not want to refuel in this position because I knew we were starting to break away from the people behind me from the lap or two earlier. So I didn't want to get brought back into another pack and start fighting them and lose the people ahead of me. So at this point it's about 60% where I decided to try use the wet line, see if there's any sort of advantage using them at the moment. I think there is a very small advantage, so as you can see I'm a bit wider here, a bit wider than I wanted to be able to move, and I didn't gain time, I didn't lose time to have the course. I knew the wet lines could be a thing, especially out of those corners. So that was a good corner to test it on, so now I already know wet lines is not a bad thing to do as well. But you can use the racing ones too. So you'll see in some braking zones and in some corners, exits, I'm not using the racing ones. So as you can see into that braking zone, I was using the wet line, and I had a ton of grip, but I broke that only. Since I saw the lasher cane dry up a bit, compared to the braking zone of the previous corner, I stayed on the racing line because I knew it would be dry enough for me to traction. I had a little look on the inside, but I wasn't trying to really go for the move. It was only one place out before me early. I was using wet lines, I took a ton of time on the exit, but that could also just mean that the push is really good for this bit deeper compared to the next second. But I knew I'd have to risk it a bit if I wanted to do something. As I believe I get a penalty here, unfortunately I turned it slightly too late, and I just cut the top of Wagon. So I knew I had to go for a move here with a penalty, because I thought I was a bit quick in these sort of conditions on Alpha, but honestly I don't really know Alpha's ability in the rain. I've just not seen him drive the red before, so I couldn't really trust following him. No offense to you, Alpha, if you're watching. I rate you. I just don't really like him in wet weather. But yeah, I knew wet weather was wet lines were grey now because it was kind of wetter, so you'll see me not use racing line. But unfortunately for me, J. Martin knows about wet lines and Megan knows about wet lines as well, and I know I'm telling you as well. So you're going to see me. I'm not really going to be early, and people are just going to take that and search. But hopefully by the time I take the penalty, I have a big enough gap to stay ahead of the cars behind. So we're about a third of the race through. We're over a third of the race through. In fact, Antonio dives it inside of Alpha, very fast move, in, and that is not good for me. Antonio is very fast. But it can also be a good thing for me. So if he does get me by the penalty, I know I can trust him, and I would probably not battle him much to try catch up to the people. Big oversteer there as I touched back the racing line. Luckily I saved it. I did a little force thing there. In case you didn't know, the controller, it doesn't go straight to 100% throttle input, even though you've got 100% throttle input. I think it's just to help with traction in general. As you can see there, Jim Marty just went off the track. I don't know if you get a penalty for that, but you definitely get dirty tyres. And he's got a penalty, so you do get a penalty for it. and you get dirty tyres, and I could be waffling here, I could be incorrect here, but I believe if you get dirty tyres here, it takes a lot longer for the tyres to clean up compared to normal. Also, if you didn't see, I just flashed out to you. My intention now was I wasn't going to fight you, but I saw you got a bad exit here, so I decided to go for it because my car is better in wet conditions than wet, in my opinion anyway. Maybe not in S2, but definitely S1 and S3, but Porsche's better. But I knew I had to catch up to the Montes. I am risking any route here. I'm pushing and I get a good time down to it. I did it really well, but so did Antonio. I think Antonio's car's slightly better than Antonio. He goes for it, which is fair enough. I was surprised he was going for it because he said after the race as well, he wasn't know what I was like in wet weather. He couldn't fully trust me, which is fair enough because he knows that I've been fast in the rain in the past, but I've not driven it in proper rain conditions for good and a while. Bit of oversteer there, very scary. But Medi's got a 5-second gap at this point. It's looking very good for him. He's in a Lamborghini as well, which is one of the better rain cars, probably top 5 rain car. Maybe not on this track, but in general, probably top 5 rain car, if you were to ask me personally. MRs just tend to rain better because they have better traction, because they've got more weight towards the rear wheels, so it's easier for them to put the power down on the traction area because they've got more weight on the rear, and more weight means more traction basically. That's how I feel, that's how I see it anyway. So I'm not fully comfortable in these conditions, really, to be honest. I didn't really practice wet weather. Yes, I did do the guide, but I literally only did 5 laps of the wet weather practice, just to give you guys an idea of what I was going to be doing if there was wet weather, and for you to use it in your cases and hope you get good results. I did hope you all do well and had fun as well, right? Let me know actually how you did, what car you were in, and what happened in your race, and how you fared, what you could have done differently, because it's good to look at your good results, but in my opinion it's even more important to look at your bad results. Reason why is because you can use those bad results and learn from those and see what you could have done differently, and yeah, in my opinion it helps you progress if you make more mistakes than not making mistakes before. But as you can see right now, just 9, we've got 11 laps to go. We have just started to catch up to Medi very slightly. I don't think this is really Medi's fault though. I just think that with the track drying a bit, it gives cars behind a little bit of an advantage because we probably have a very slightly drier track compared to the leader. Now, in usual circumstances, when there's weather involved, you'll see that a dry line suddenly appears really quickly in some scenarios. I think I'll go for a move on Jim Martin here. Yeah, I'll go for a move here. Antonio gives Jim Martin so, which is fair enough because he probably sees me more of a threat. But look, I just got ahead of Jim Martin before the braking zone, and I wanted to brake outside the racing line, because if I was to brake on the racing line, I would have probably not been able to get ahead of Jim Martin because he would have been able to brake later. And I would probably have a bit of oversteer in my braking because basically, in case you didn't know, the reason why the racing line is not good in the rain conditions, and a thing that I think personally is done really well in simulating, is the rubber with like the wet surface do not mix well together. So basically you want to try stay off the rubber because that's where the grip is. So right now, I'm not, even though there's a bit of a dry patch, I'm still not really using the racing line, although I arguably should have. Well, in that corner I still wanted to test out if the wet line was worth it or not. I lost quite a bit of time on the exit here. It felt like I was understeering this, so now I decided I'm moving this way. It looked like I was right in this way, without like suffering much on traction or braking, etc. But at this point, halfway through lap 10, I'm in 3rd place. I've already gained 8 places from where I started, which is a fantastic result in my car and in the top split order. The 82 people ahead of me are World Tour car drivers. Unfortunately, neither called drivers here. Antonio used back up and Medi Hartley. I mean, he had a very tough teammate, not teammate, but very tough rival to race against. They were both pretty much faultless, but maybe just edged it, especially after the Sardinia race. I think Benny probably felt bad to what happened in that race to Antonio, and probably gave up after that. He probably didn't want to qualify after what happened in that race, which is fair enough. I would have probably done the same thing, to be honest. But I don't have to think about that because I'm not that good enough yet. Hopefully I can get on with it now. But lap 11, started to catch up to Antonio a bit here, but I think that was mainly the track drying a bit and just the Porsche being better in certain corners. S3 especially, it's a lot better. Had to lift on the exit here because I didn't want to risk getting a penalty. But my aim here at the moment was, okay, I know Antonio's quick and rev it, and I can see how we're catching to really slowly. So my aim here was just to fuel save behind Antonio. So as you can see right now, I've got about 49% fuel, and we're just starting off 11. So I'm still on the edge of making it to the finish line. I still want to save fuel behind him, just so that if all hell breaks loose, then I can push and rev out 5th and try to take people out in the straights. I wouldn't like to use the word dive bomb, but you know, have a little dive and just to put them off their comfort zone and like them not really knowing what you're going to do. That is probably what my intention will be towards the end of the race, if it was to bunch up, but there's a long way to go still. As you may have started to see, I'm starting to go onto the wetter part of the track in the middle of the straights. The reason I'm doing that is because at this point I can see the track is trying to dry out, and I already know that if the track is going to start to dry out, that the tyres are going to start to struggle at the end of the race, because if the track gets drier, you'll tend to slide a bit more because the Inters is made for wet conditions, well, intermediate conditions, so half wet, half dry basically. It's basically how it is now. It's a perfect intermediate condition. But I want to try cool the Inter tyres as much as possible so that I have the best tyres possible for the end of the race, because I know that if the track is going to keep drying, the leader's always going to have a bit of a disadvantage. So I want to, one, carry on fuel saving so I can attack the but two, probably more importantly, save my tyres so I have the extra grip to try brake a bit later, have a bit better traction going forward. So you'll see me still brake off the racing line, and you'll see me at the traction zones turn off the racing line onto the wet part of the track. So as you can see now, I'm just trying to stay around here section. He goes to the wet part, so I follow him. So lap 12, just about on the edge of fuel still. I tried braking off the line here. I saw that it didn't really work anymore, so I think from this point on that corner at least, I'll be using the normal line. But my aim here is, J-Mart is very close to me. I need to nail this corner basically. So I do a small lift, put the throttle down. I did that pretty well. I could have done it better still, but I did it pretty well. Gave a bit of time to J-Mart here. I do think the Lambda does struggle in the wet conditions in that corner a bit, to be fair, just because of the gearing. They'll probably have to use 4th gear, which is a bit sketchy. I'm not sure. I'm not 100%. But Antonio's starting to break away a bit. These conditions definitely suit FRs better compared to the other conditions though, just because they don't suffer with traction anymore, since it's dry enough that they can basically put the power down and not get much wheel spin. Probably still gets a bit of wheel spin, probably still has to throttle control a bit. Even I have to throttle control a bit at times. Like here, I have to get 80% throttle for example, just so I didn't get too much oversteer and spin off basically, or with the steer that section. But 8.5 laps left to go. We've got about 8.5 laps of fuel left, so we're looking okay in fuel. I see the gap behind J Marty. There's a bit of a gap to No, who's got a bit of a gap behind him as well. So I knew we were in a half decent position at this point. However, long way to go. Track's still drying, and Waika, who's in 6th, if you don't know, he picked Ferrari, and Ferrari is probably the best car in these sort of conditions. It's got insane traction, it's got pretty good brakes, it's got very good fuel as well, and it's got very good tyre wear. So I knew it was a long way to go. Almost understeered on the track there, but just gets it on. Antonio's flying in this sort of condition. I think Mehdi just had a penalty there, probably from Bay Ridge, if I were to guess. That's probably the easiest call to get a penalty on, because you're trying to push right a bit, and if you hit that into a curb at slightly the wrong time, or you turn it a tad too late, you'll just understeer off and get penalty. Very, very easy to do, as you saw earlier, the left side of that, I think on that which is where I also placed on top. But yeah, top 13, good position. Let me know, by the way, well, not much is happening. First of all, if you do enjoy watching this, I would appreciate liking the sub, as always. You don't have to, of course, but it's just one of the things I appreciate. I'd like to, not like necessarily as a career, but I'd like to carry on making videos, at least while I'm playing this game, just because I enjoy doing it, and I like to share what I'm doing with you guys. So in the future I'll give tips and guidance, but honestly I'm just waiting for Spec 3 first, to see if anything changes in that update, in terms of time model, or POPs, or just anything. If anything changes, I don't want this to be like, I don't want a video to be outdated within a month, for example. As far as I know, I believe the update definitely comes on December the 4th. So I'm pretty sure basically the downloadable content will be on December the 4th. It would be a stupid reason to put that available and not have the other update come out at the same time. So I believe we're 3 weeks away from that now, 2-3 weeks away, which we're quite excited for. But I'm a bit skeptical still, because yes, cool, new content, new tracks, amazing, but at the end of the day, we're here to have fun, and the best way to have fun is to have good races. If they don't change some stuff, then I'm not going to be entirely pleased if I'm completely honest, because I just don't like the slipstream. I don't like the fact that just because you can stay close to the cars ahead, they were arguably faster because they qualified ahead of you, so they're probably faster, but they can't break away because you are getting dragged towards them with how powerful slipstream is, and there's no dirty air, which I just don't agree with, to be honest, and I know many people don't agree with, but I can understand why they do it. They just want to make the race as fun as possible, but I don't think this is a solution to it, if you were to ask me. I think, personally, what I would do if I had the tools is I'd keep real slipstream on, just I'd reduce the dirty air by about half, especially in Group 3, and even in high downforce, because I'd arguably reduce down for dirty air more to like 75%. Just so that, yes, if you're quick enough you can break away from the cars behind you, but at the same time, if you're quick enough you can stay to the car ahead of you. If you were like within 1/10 or 2/10 of the car ahead of you, you'd be able to stick with it, but if a car ahead of you was 2-3 attempts a lot faster, they would be able to slowly and gradually break away, which is how it should be, because you should be rewarded for how well you're driving. You shouldn't get rewarded for just keeping it on track in the first place. But as you can see right now, I've closed the gap to Medi, but I kept the same-ish gap to Antonio, which isn't great, because I would have ideally liked to be closer to Antonio, just so that I get more of an advantage from the slipstream, and save more fuel, save the tyres more, finding, and we could be in a much worse position. We're still third, we've got a bit of a gap to fourth, started to catch the leader, and I'm keeping the same gap to Antonio, so it's looking good at this point. Keeping it close, going on the wet lines just to try cool my tyres down as much as possible. And like I said, I forgot to mention it before, but if you do like me commentating over races, leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to do this for every race I do potentially in the future. But also, if you don't like it, you just want to see my driving do talking, and you don't want to commentate, also comment, just so that I know what you guys prefer. I would probably rather commentate over the races, just because I like to give my thoughts and my feelings on what I am doing in this certain scenario, compared to me just showing the driving and you not knowing my mindset and what I'm thinking, which I think is very important, because I think the mindset could influence your race massively. So I knew at this point my fuel is not looking good. I'm using more fuel than I need to, which means I'm gonna not have enough fuel to get to you. But I knew I needed to carry on pushing to get as close to the cars as possible, so I can take more fuel behind me. But I'm not going to be following the section in this straight because I'd rather keep my tyres in good condition, because I knew if I had to, I would fuel cell. I would happily concede a position to Jay Martin behind, because I knew he was starting to break away from Nono behind him. Which, to be fair, I think it's partly Jay Martin favouring the left, but I think Nono's car is bad for fuel. He's probably happy to do the same as me, just fuel safe and crawl at the end basically. But yeah. I nailed the average here. I was very close to Antonio, but because I was very close to Antonio, I knew I could short to 6th and use fuel map 6 very early on the straight. So I didn't want to fight him, because I knew I needed to fuel safe more. Well, down on our target at the moment, which is not good, because that means we won't make the finish, of course. Or we will make the finish, just very slowly, and we'll lose positions. So, very good start of lap 15 here. Tyres looking good. My front is wearing slightly quicker in the rear, which is not ideal, but I think that's just a Porsche. You cannot do much about that. You'll see me start to steer a bit less in some corners, just to maximise my tyres. You might still see me use a bit of wet lines every now and then, just to try to cool the tyres down as well. Especially on straights, I'll just go on the wet part of the track, just to cool them down, like I said, keep more water in the tyres. Which I don't actually know if they implement that well or not. I just do it in case they do. I'm pretty sure they do. Seven does it. But I just do it because I don't want to kill my tyres. That's basically what it is for the experience. J Marty is flying behind me, which is confusing. That's well. It's in Lambo, which probably has better traction than Porsche in these sort of conditions. And it will definitely have better front space as well. Just got less weight in the front. And that thing's quite quick on the straight as well. At least compared to Porsche, it would be very similar. I stay on the left here because I knew my left tyres would hit more than my right tyres at some point, so I would rather keep my left tyres cooled than my right tyres cooled, because there's more right hangers than left hangers, and I'd rather keep my left tyres for the right hangers. Since the right here, because I knew that the right patch wasn't really big enough to last the whole the rest of it straight for that section to cool my left tyres down here, and plus it cost me some time leaving to the left instead of just stay to the right on the Astro car. Me knowing it doesn't need dirty tyres. Since I know what I'm doing there, I just keep it there. There's no point changing something I don't know, especially if only 4.5 laps, about 5 laps to go. Still a bit down on fuel, but we're starting to save it back, which isn't a big issue. We're doing it well. Nailed this corner here, small lift, straight on the power. We did that very well. Gaining time again to J Marty, but I think Medi is starting to struggle on fuel because we're gaining quite a bit of time on the straight here. And yeah, Antonio, I believe, goes for a dive here. Yes, he does. He dives here. He wants the lead, which is fair enough, but he misjudges it. He breaks a bit late and he goes a bit wide, so he has to concede the position. I thought I'd try go for a move here. And yes, I'm risking it outside, but I wanted to risk it here just to see, in case it comes down to it later, to see if it works or not. Fortunately, it does not work. I had a lot of this grip, and J Marty's there. I broke late. I defended it luckily, just late, and I knew that I would potentially have to defend here as well because he had got a better exit because I was on the inside, he was on the outside. But luckily, I got a good enough exit that I didn't have to go back. Keep up to tapped, whatever the phrase is. I can keep up with the leaders as it is. I might have to push a bit more now to close that gap a bit more, since I know Antonio will probably be the quickest in this sort of condition, especially in his car in these sort of conditions now. It will favour the Lexus more than it will in my opinion. But top 16, it's still quite wet, so you could not go to slick tyres here for two reasons. One, it's still wet, and two, even if we were starting to dry, there's not enough time, and also very sketchy to keep on track because there's only one line you can follow, which is about a car length and a half, which is just too risky. And also, you'll have to use curves in that if you really want to catch up to the leaders. You cannot use curves because they're still very wet and you'll just applicate and spin off or just go in a straight line, which is not good. So it's into the end of the race for everyone here. I don't think anyone even would risk a chance of using giants here. But with that battling last start, nobody starts to catch up and right car starts to catch up. But at least we've started to we've broken away from the So I knew at worst, unless I had a big crash or something, the worst I'd get was 6th, which I'd still be alright with because I wasn't expecting to get 6th in this sort of lobby, since there were faster drivers than me. My car's not the best, especially in a race. It's just not have the fuel saving capabilities, all the fuel consumption full stop, and it's not good on the front tyres either, which is quite important in this track with long fast corners and this too especially. But I knew with how much I pushed last lap I would have to fuel save bigger than I had done before, which puts more risk on me from getting overtaken from behind, but I don't want to lose the cars ahead of me as well. So I was in a very tough position here, still moving offline to cover tyres as much as possible, but using a racing line now in every corner. I don't think I got tapped here. I think I just panicked from G Martin going deep there. I didn't want to get hit, so I probably released the brakes and I went on the wet patch here, so I lost time here, unfortunate, but that means I have to push now because I don't want to get overtaken into this corner, which means I'll have to fuel save more later, which is not good. So every little mistake has huge consequences because it means I can't close up to leaders, but I also have to defend from the car behind me and use more fuel and potentially more tyres as well, which puts me in a worse spot towards the end of the race. But I knew at this point I had to fuel save because I just wouldn't make it worse. I had to fuel save no matter what in this sort of scenario. Luckily for me, Medi goes away in career, so I've got a bit of switch in. But unfortunately, I just missed the turning point on this corner again, and I understood a bit. Jimmy Martin probably has better front tyres than this as well, which helps of course, but if I was something to mess up that corner, I wouldn't have to worry in the first place. I have to short shift so really to gear just to make sure I finish. Understeered a bit here initially, made it back, but I knew I had to defend because I knew I was going to go for it. I broke quite late, but so does J Marty, and yeah, I tapped Medi. I didn't know at the time if it was me or J Marty that hit him. I thought J Marty also hit him, but I looked back on it and it was actually me that made the contact, so I apologised to him after, and yeah, I was not happy. We get that. Well, we live we learn. And now I'm angry, I've got a bit of damage, I've got dirty tyres, and yeah, I've lost a good 3 seconds there, and I don't have slipstream anymore. So I knew I had to push. I know I don't have the fuel, but I have to push if I want any chance of improving on myself. I had the gap behind me at least to, you know, at least risk it, try catch up to the cars ahead. And yeah, at least we've got 5.5 second gap ahead of me. So in case I was to push too much and either kill my tyres or use too much fuel or whatever, I knew I had enough of a buffer where I could just crawl to the finish line and stay in sync. So I knew I could risk at this point and just try to catch up to the others. Understeered there a bit, I stayed on the wet patch for too long before the start of the corner, and that's why I understeered. I also have quite bad front tyres now as well, which does not help. But I know at this point I will at least have the second or third worst tyres in this out of the first 6 cars, because I knew the Lexus would probably have worse tyres than me. I know Antonio was probably saving tyres at this point, but there's no way you can save enough tyres and still have as good tyres as me, or at least better tyres than me. I'm still understeering just because I've started to lose a lot of grip, probably overheating the tyres now since it's drying as well. So it's not looking good for me at this point, but there's still 2.5 laps to go, anything can happen. So I kept at it, and the gap behind me is still opening. They're battling a lot, obviously. There's a lot of decisions changing, which is good for me. I do not have to worry about them at all. Any oversteers a bit on the exit there, which will probably mean that it'll bunch up towards the chicane here, which is good for me. I've accepted at this point Antonio and Giovanni are probably gone, because they would just have better tyres than me. They'll probably have better fuel than me, especially the Lexus. That Lexus is really good for fuel. Yes, it's stuff on the tyres, but at least you can rev on the straight ones. But our fuel's actually decent here at the moment. We've still got 11%, because I think lap 17 I did save quite a lot of fuel on that lap, which means I can push a bit on this lap to try to catch up to the cars anyway. But I knew I had the worst tyres, so it would be a total order for me to try and catch up. But 2 more laps to go. My aim here is just to try catch up, worry about the fuel at the end. try to get ahead of people when fuel saving again potentially. Still going on the wet patches here just because I saw the tyres were starting to die and I didn't want to have 0% tyres because 0% tyres would have zero grip, understeer the track and probably get a penalty, and it's a long day basically. 13 of the track limits there. I did go a bit deep, so I definitely lost time and losing the time straight as well. But I knew I had to rep out fit because I needed to try catch up somehow. Luckily for me, Raikkonen gets a penalty and Nono goes off the track here, which is huge for me. So he's got dirty tyres. He did not get a penalty, I don't think. Actually, I don't remember. Did he get a penalty? I guess we'll find out in a second. But I know he's got dirty tyres. He did get a penalty. Good for me. Hopefully, I should be able to stay close enough to the rules. We'll see in about half a lap's time. So my aim here was just to stay by Nono. We're not even bother going for a move. But unfortunately, that was the biggest mistake I did that race. I was on the curb on the entry, I turned a bit late and I downshifted quite early and my car just oversteered and I basically just oversteered and understeered at the same time wide, and I lost a good half a second at that least, more than half a second, probably a second, close to a second, but oh well. I knew now I had to push hard as well if I wanted any chance to get Nono when he took the penalty. But it does look like that. My biggest position I'll get now is 5th, especially with the tyres as well, which aren't looking great. But you know, 6th place in this hobby is I'm still glad to take it. I do get Nono here, luckily. He does not do the penalty trick thing, they just do left and right. I don't like to do it, just because you're taking advantage of the game's system, I guess. I just don't like to do it. I don't think you can really do it on controlling it just because of the way the car takes time to fully look left to right. Compared to real way, you can just fully turn left and right in very little time. You can't do that on the controller because of the built-in assist or whatever the setting is, where it just slows down your steering. I think the intention of that was just so that you don't kill your fronts as easier. But I don't really like it. I prefer having full control of my steering and me having to work at my tyre safety built-in. Like a couple of years ago basically. But I can understand why they do. They want to make it more user friendly, which is fair enough because most people play this game with controller. Probably, I think I heard like 90% of players play this game with controller or something, at least. So it's fair enough that they want to you know, soften the steering a bit and make it easier for them to, you know, catch slides and, you know, not overheat and destroy their front tyres, which was very easy to do previously. But yeah, as you may have saw, you saw Raikkonen go very deep in that corner and you see J Marty go off as well. So I knew that it wasn't over yet because they had made mistakes and probably had the time as well. But I've got Nono to worry about behind me, who is a rapid driver. I mean, he's literally qualified for the World Series, so he's also over a driver. So J Marty goes off here, and I believe he picks up the 10th as well. So I knew both were still on if I was to absolutely nail the rest of the lap. Maybe have a chance into the last chicane. If I was to nail it, and if J Marty would have been with a mistake. But I broke a bit early, I turned a bit early, I lost a 10th or 2 there, unfortunately. J Marty also does it quite well. I'm just starting to unsteer off, I've only got about 15% tyres left. I'm starting to struggle a lot, and I'm just unsteering. But J Marty's taking his penalty, the gap is closing incredibly quickly, and yeah, we are now 4 tenths off him, so I was like, okay, I'm going to have a little look on the dive on the inside. I wasn't going for the move, but I just wanted to try put him off the line and see if anything comes, but no, for some reason tries to go for a gap that was never there, and he does not get the place back, which I don't understand why, but he apologised, I guess, and we've moved on from it. But I guess he wanted 5th place that much. Well, here's what it is. I still got 6th, which I'm quite happy with. It could have been at 4th easily if I wasn't to, you know, hit Medi. That was my fault, and I apologise. But you know, that's just how it goes. But I'm going to leave it there. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more races from me, like, comment, sub, to classic YouTube things. And yeah, I'm going to do enough commentary for the round 2 race we just had at Real Atlanta in Group 3. And that should come out in a day or two's time. So cheers guys, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.